Hello, everybody. Welcome to the full moon in Aquarius. We have still some tension between the planets for this chart, unfortunately, but it doesn't mean it's going to play out badly. It feels less heavy than the new moon for some reason. Sometimes it's mysterious why. There was a fixed square in our new moon chart, if you remember, a couple weeks ago. And there's another fixed square in this chart. So why would one feel more tense than the other one? Let's take a look. So before I get going, I don't normally promote my Patreon that much, but I want to just plug it this time in case you enjoy my free content and you don't mind donating to monthly, subscription. I would appreciate it. And my Patreon still needs a bit of setting up because I intend to start doing live meetups and having more of a membership community. And I've been saying that a little while, but I went to Europe and I was a little more busy than I thought I would be. So I didn't get any work done in Europe. And then I came back and it's just been crazy how much stuff has been happening in my life. And lots of people wanting appointments and just whatever reason, just haven't been feeling it to start the meetups, the live meetups yet. But I know that sometime over the fall I will, and I will settle in and figure this out. And until then, I just appreciate if you want to give to my monthly minimum on Patreon. If you don't, you don't. Also, if you want to reach me for personal appointments, everything's online again. I took a few in person for about 5 or 6 weeks. And honestly, I just prefer so many things about working online. It works just as well. And I like it. So I invite you, if you want a personal appointment, to just email me. I'll put it in the links below as usual. And so if you have any feedback on my book, I'm starting to get more and more people writing to me. So, and it's nice because a lot of them are writing to me from the US and from Europe. So it makes me happy that the book is out on the shelves everywhere. So if you have read it and you want to give me feedback or have questions, then that would be great. That would be great too. Because when I start the meetup community, I will most likely be reading from one of my 2 books, some passage, and then expanding on that, and then taking a few readings. That's what I'm thinking. If you have any feedback on what you would like as part of a membership community, I don't know if you belong to other ones you enjoy or things that you particularly would like more of from me, I would really like to know that because I'm always willing to design things and give it to you. So please message in the comments or email me or something. All right, so let's take a look at our chart for this full moon. Just going to set that up. So here we go. Sharing the screen. Here we go. All right. So as usual, the chart is cast for the Eastern time zone. I put New York City just because it's a major city in the Eastern time zone. So if you are in the Eastern time zone, this full moon has an Aries rising. So the sun is at 19 degrees Leo. The moon is conjunct Saturn in Aquarius, and the rising is Aries. So even if it was a person born this day, sun in Leo, moon in Aquarius, Aries rising, what would we expect Expect a pretty fiery and a bit rebellious person. Would expect them to be quite social, but also maybe have some moodiness or stubbornness because of the fixed signs, opposite sun and moon. Also, that moon is in the 12th house. This person needs to be taking time alone, needs some downtime. But otherwise, there's all of that fire with the Leo and the Aries. So I like to personalize it as if it was a person, because then we're describing, real human traits that might arise out of the energy of this particular full moon. And maybe somebody will be born on the full moon and they will fit this. But I would expect them with that sun opposite moon. It's people born on the full moon always have the sun opposite the moon. Their identity needs and their emotional needs are in opposition to each other with a full moon. So that means somebody who's going to flip-flop a lot in their life. They're going to try to meet their needs on one end and then on the other end. So if this person with all that Leo and Aries, all that fire in the chart, finds people that match their fiery, funny, outgoing, strong-willed, dramatic, risk-taking personality, and then they find as they get closer to them that their moon in Aquarius needs are not met because these things oppose it, let alone some of the other oppositions in this chart. So this person will then have other friends that satisfy their Aquarian side, that moon in Aquarius that needs to be reading fantasy and science fiction, more concerned with ideas and rationalizing, analyzing things than feeling them. Doesn't like to feel things with moon in Aquarius, very detached kind of moon to have. So you have all of this excitement and passion of Leo and Aries rising, enthusiasm, and then you've got this need to like detach and not feel very much, not feel it, or just rationalize it. So you can already see the tension there. Often people with sun opposite moon in their charts grow up with family tensions. It's often an indicator of divorce, or at least separation, or parents that lived like roommates if they didn't actually separate. So we're talking about how do you meet these different needs? And you might be going through this too right now at the full moon, sort of torn between meeting different needs, different sides of you. Now if we take a look at the sun opposite the moon here and Saturn. Now with Saturn conjunct, pretty much on top, you see 22 degrees, 19 degrees. When they are on top of each other, Saturn is going to put a wet blanket over the moon even more. Saturn is about structure and restriction and time, patience, building things from the ground up, being very serious. Saturn on the moon, well, try to put your emotional nature in a box. Try to structure your emotions. Try to have control over your emotions. So this is quite an extreme thing to me, to have the moon and Saturn together in Aquarius. They already don't like to feel things very much. And if they do, they're so sensitive, they'll never show you. And then Saturn will come along and be like, it's got to really twist and control and manipulate those feelings into a comfortable place. And it's going to take a lot of energy. Usually it restricts your emotions. It makes you more, it can be harder to express things. It can be, some people might even feel a bit numb with Saturn conjunct the moon. You might not know how you feel. You might just feel sort of flat inside sometimes. Other times with Saturn and the moon, you might feel that no one ever is going to meet your needs and they never will. So why bother trying? Like it could be very cynical like that, or disappointed or traumatized by that. Often Saturn and the moon together would indicate a lack of nurturing. If this was a baby, I would expect the baby would be left alone and neglected quite a bit, because the moon and Saturn are in the 12th house, which is again hidden, unconscious, and it's hard enough to know what you need, let alone stuffing Saturn on top of it, let alone sticking it in this house of the subconscious, where it's even harder to get in touch with what you feel. So if this were a human, you'd have Aries rising, and you've got Jupiter and Chiron and Aries on the ascendant. This is going to be like a rah, rah, rah cheerleader, blah, blah, football guy, or a cheerleader girl, or track and field, or like a celebrity out there kind of person who does not feel anything inside, who does not know how they feel inside. What a combo. Yikes. It could be scary. All of that risk, but doesn't know how they feel, doesn't want to show you how they feel. You're setting up enormous tension there. Now, look at what else we've got going on. The sun, the moon, Saturn are squaring the north node, the south node. And that north node is still pretty tight with Uranus and Mars that I mentioned last time. And we had our conjunction already. I think it was the 5th. No, it was the 1st of August. So just after our new moon, we had the conjunction. You might have felt something quite intense going on with you at the beginning of August, that first week or so. I sure did. It's sort of like I said last time, that aspect, a rebellious planet like Uranus, an explosive, eccentric, sudden, erratic energy like Uranus, mixed with Mars, action and aggression and passion, can make for a bomb to go off. It can make for a shocking event, shocking anything. And it's on the north node. And so it drags us all kicking and screaming towards this collective direction that we need to go in, which is Taurus. So if you suddenly felt that you were kicked into something that you have been maybe resisting doing, and with Taurus, it could even be finances, it could even be just your basic home, your self-care. With Taurus, it'll be something quite fundamental and very tangible. It's not kicked forward towards an idea. It's like, no, kicked forward with something physical, tangible, something with your body, something with your money, something with your place, your space. You might have felt that during that first week of August, like a kick. And it might have been like a sudden thing. It might have even been sort of a, semi-destructive or painful thing for some of you because of Uranus and Mars together. So it's not as tight as it was, but it's still there. Mars is moving on now. Thank you. The Sun and Uranus together. The Uranus North Node is going to stay tighter for a little bit still. But Mars is moving on, so that helps. But it's still a bit tight right now. So whatever lesson it is, it's still going on. And it's squaring off with Moon Saturn, North Node in Scorpio, and that Sun in Leo. Now, again, 4 fixed signs squaring off means something is conflictual, something is like a standoff, something can feel very stuck in place without you knowing how to break free of it. Some of it, the tension might grow big enough that you do bust free of it. You might need to use that Uranus Mars to do something bold to get yourself away from this fixed or stuck energy or conflict. Some people, it's just going to be a holding pattern that feels more draining or claustrophobic or tiring. And others of you might find, again, that kind of tension tends to, you know, if people can handle the tension, then they tend to keep doing what they're doing and absorb it, and it goes inwards. Other people just reach a point where they can't, and they'll do something to break out of it. And it's sort of interesting what's going on right now with movement forward when it comes to some political things that have been just, let's say, stuck or at a standstill for quite a while, and they're starting to move forward because, you know, this where is Gemini in there? Yeah, no, not yet. Okay. Yeah, sorry, just checking something if it hits Donald Trump's chart, obviously, to me, but it doesn't quite yet. I was thinking of that because of the raids that have just taken place in Mar-a-Lago. So things are moving forward in terms of justice around January 6th. Depends what side you're on, but I'm clearly not for Trump's. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch my channel. So that's interesting to me. Will this full moon bust something open, reveal something from there? You know, I can't comment on everything on the globe. Obviously, there's too much going on. So I bring it with something close to home. Now, the things that are working well in the chart are the blue lines, as we mentioned. So with this North Node in Uranus here in Taurus, we've got an aspect to Mercury that's nice. Mercury in Virgo. Virgo, Mercury cools down the mind, makes it more rational, more detailed, thinking more about what's workable, what's efficient, can be critical, judgmental, yeah, but it tends to just spend its time analyzing and discerning things. And so that's a helpful influence when you have this explosive Uranus-Mars thing going on, right? So if you feel like there's an eruption or an earthquake in and around you, or you feel ready to have one, well, Mercury is sort of helping you out because it might help you just pull back a little and like dissect things a little bit, fizzle it down, break it into parts, you know, and then it might help you to move forward with things. So Mercury in Virgo is your friend, breaking things down when things are stuck like this or feeling like, you know, tension build up, going into details and breaking it down into bits that you can chew on or that you can digest, that you can put into practice. It can be a good thing, you know. Getting yourself organized under a Mercury Virgo, especially like, you know, the school year is going to begin in a couple of weeks. It's not a bad thing to have that Mercury in Virgo there. And, you know, not that many degrees until the sun's going to join it in Virgo, and things will cool off a little because they'll make nicer aspects to the Uranus North Node. And by then, Mars is going to have moved on, probably to Gemini by then. And, you know, it's more mercurial communication or energy, curiosity versus this like something has to give kind of feeling. Now, what else is working well? The blue lines. So we mentioned Jupiter and Chiron and Aries. Now it's making a nice aspect here to Venus, which has just gone into Leo. So Venus and Jupiter, extravagant taste, luxury, adventure, romance, demonstrative of affection. Again, the athletic or the cheerleading side that comes out of that. Jupiter's gonna just expand and make everything greater or more exaggerated with Venus. Venus in Leo definitely likes luxuries and grandiose things and dramatic things. So again, this could be one way that you cope with that tension. Some people are just going to go shopping if they can. Some people are going to unleash it with hopefully creative endeavors. That would be great because Venus is in the 5th house, which is about creativity and children. You could unleash that energy, by playing with your kids, having a blast. You could unleash that energy doing a creative project or singing or dancing or something really expressive, and like Venus and Jupiter gonna want to like let it out, really, like no filters kind of thing. Venus also touches Chiron, and Jupiter is right there too. And Chiron is the wounded self, and Chiron in Aries is somebody who feels sometimes they don't know who they are. They don't know who themselves, they don't know what their self quite is sometimes until you have your Chiron return, which is in your 50s, where you might finally sort of go, yeah, this is who I am and I accept myself. That's just who I am. That's me. But a lot of people with Chiron and Aries, and it's a generation thing, like if you're a few people around these certain years will have it there, and then it repeats itself. But Chiron and Aries is going to have a hard time, like I said, knowing who your true self is. So it gives it away to everybody. It can be codependent with others. It can assume the tastes and the likes and the identity and the problems of others because it doesn't know who it is really. So it's challenging that. Now, Jupiter and Chiron together could like just explode this feeling of your wound of like, I don't know who I am. It could be like really huge with Jupiter. You might have some people might feel like an identity crisis going on here with that. Or because Venus is helping it, Jupiter's sort of helping it too with Venus. You might have a moment where you're like, I just did this. I loved it. This is who I am. This is me, kind of moment too, but it's on the ascendant. You're going to bring it out. Other people are going to see it. You might do something, say something, show something you made or did or created, or I don't know, maybe you're going to do a podcast. You're going to show who you are outwardly, and it might show a little bit of your vulnerability with Chiron, but it doesn't look like it's going to matter. Looks like a very good aspect because it's also making a really nice, Chiron's making a nice aspect to the sun as well. If you see, there it is. Chiron, sun, both fire, very nice. Jupiter and Chiron. I'm getting mixed up with my lines, aren't I? Jupiter is making the aspect to Venus. This is a confusing chart with the lines. Pardon me, people. Sorry. So Chiron is making a nice aspect to the sun. It's still the same thing. It affirms your identity. It's going to help strengthen that sense of who I am. Venus is making the nice aspect to Jupiter. Jupiter is connected to Chiron right here. So these are, to me, all together working to help really solidify a moment of This is myself. This is who I am. This is my true self. This is what I want. This is what I like. This is who I am and who I'm not. This is my nature. And that helps you with acceptance, and that helps you with relationships. Because if you know who you are and what you're like, then you won't keep choosing or allowing, situations or relationships that are just not compatible, that you're not going to be happy with. And other people stop feeling like, who is this person? They keep shape-shifting on me. I don't really know who they are. It's both ways. Now, the other nice thing is, look at this Venus. She's also making a nice aspect to Neptune up here, which is in Pisces still, hidden in the 12th house, but pretty close to our ascendant. Could still be felt on the ascendant. Now, that's nice because this could give you a nice, soft, ethereal, dreamy, sort of a glow, sort of a glamour around you. Just gives that celebrity feeling again, Venus and Neptune. If we can feel it on the rising, well, maybe you're just gonna, maybe that moment of this is me, like, I don't know, some people you're gonna wear a certain color, or you're gonna buy something new, you're gonna do your hair a certain way, you're gonna have a tan, I don't know, something outward that we see in the way you express yourself, how you express yourself, could be the way you move as well, but something in that, it's going to have something sort of a mysterious or a magical or a lovely, lofty, like I said, there's something nice when Venus is trine Neptune on the ascendant. People also might project things onto you and they go, wow, you're like so good at that, eh? Or like, wow, they're going to find you beautiful or interesting, or they're just going to be like, sort of starry-eyed. It's a bit of a celebrity kind of feeling aspect. So if you have that right now, if you express yourself and you get a little bit of that admiration coming your way, people put a glow on you, well, take it, because Chiron and Aries needs to know, like, yeah, I'm expressing who I am. I have a right to be here and be me. So let that be fun. Let that good energy and admiration, compliments, whatever it is, let it in, you know? And what else is working well here? We have a minor aspect of Pluto and Neptune together. That's going on for a while. That's an outer thing. It's better that they're not squaring. But Pluto and Neptune working together just sort of shows lots of outer change in our thinking about life. Pluto is the great transformer in Capricorn. It's about transforming patriarchy and capitalism, authority, government. We all know this is an upheaval. And then Neptune in Pisces is all about our spiritual beliefs, our collective beliefs, what we idealize as a society or as a world, where our blind spots are, where our deceptions or self-deceptions are. So it's an interesting thing. They sort of work together. One is softer and a little harder to pinpoint. The other one is like very in your face, but they sort of still work together, right? Where the world is sort of changing an awful lot in ways we don't recognize, and it puts us in weird moods, and then it changes things, alters things internally as to where we feel we're at or how we perceive the world. And so that's very outer thing going on long term. But Pluto now also makes good aspects to Mars, Uranus, North Node. So again, that, that eruption, earthquake, tornado kind of feeling of Uranus, Mars that propels us forward. It's helping Pluto. I mean, it basically sort of says to me, it's an aspect that sort of accelerates the level of change that's going on with sudden or dramatic or, you know, actions or happenings that propel things. It's not slow, painstaking, drip, drip, drip kind of change. This is like drip, drip. Okay, it's off now. Drip, drip, drip. But now we have a little lake of water. We flushed something or out. It's not the same as it was, even if we go back to the drip, drip, drip. And this is sort of how change is happening right now. It's like with Uranus and Mars together, there's just sudden propelling forward. And you might feel it in your life too, with can be anything that you do or decide or that happens to you that suddenly just thrusts life along faster than you thought. And you might be sort of surprised that you can handle it, or maybe you like it, or maybe it's forcing you to move on or let go of things that you'd normally be scared, and you realize, nah, I'm actually good with it. I'm checking. I had a scared spider beside me. I live by the water, and all, you know, when it's muggy and it's August, they all start to come in. And so I had I've got a few of them on the ceiling, and I put up a little net above me so no spiders would start dangling beside me while I'm doing this reading for you. And I scared one of them when I put up the thing, and he couldn't find his little way home, but I think he has, because he's gone. As long as he's not crawling up my leg, I'm fine. All right. Just a little bit of sage, and then we're going to do our cards for this full moon and see what it has to say. And I think I'm going to use the Druid Tarot again for the personal readings for the signs, because I enjoyed those. I'm still, I haven't used them all that much, so the imagery still feels sort of fresh to me. And that sometimes, you know, even though I know the cards super well, sometimes that fresh interpretation of another artwork on the deck can give me just another buzz or message. But for now, actually, you know what? Let's just use it for the whole thing this time. Let's do the reading for the, yeah, let's do that. Let's just make it all fresh. So I just got to mix these really well. So when I do these cards, you know, it's obviously not everything's going to apply to everyone. It goes, but it's to go in a little more detail with the energy of the moon. It's to also see, you know, do the cards support what the chart is saying? Do the cards add to it, or do they go completely against what the chart is saying? Because sometimes, like I said, the overall vibe of that new moon felt much heavier to me than the overall vibe of this full moon, and yet they both have a fixed square, which classically would mean feeling blocked, feeling tense, having conflicts. So I think perhaps it's that all that great Venus, Jupiter, Neptune energy going on with the sun, of like very affirming to those who are ready to bring themselves out and show who you are. All right, let's take a look at our cards for this full moon. So I'm going to just close, stop sharing the chart so we can see the cards better. There we go. All right, so our first card. The Three of Swords. If I put the light on it, is that better or is that worse? Now you can see the card a bit better, right? There we are. Looks a little ominous, this Three of Swords, doesn't it? It's the three swords are pointing upwards, look like they're pointing towards a ghost. And the rock that they're sitting on is heart-shaped. Usually the Three of Swords represents a broken heart, which can sometimes mean a passing of somebody, but it can also just mean a broken heart. Now, it's interesting that this looks like a ghost, or more than one ghost. It feels to me about that this card is going to be more about grieving some sort of inner demon or illusion. So it doesn't feel like so much the loss of a person that's current. It feels like the loss of your idea of somebody or something. Could also be that you're ready to grieve or let go of certain illusions that you hold about people in your life. Doesn't look bad to me. All right, next card. Now, this says rebirth. This is usually the Judgment card, and they call it rebirth. So you've got a little young naked kid coming outside of a, who knows what. That looks like could be a castle, could be a tomb, could be some sort of chamber. And the rabbit in front, of course, representing fertility, and the child is naked. So it's talking a lot about fertility, thus, rebirth. And then you have somebody trumpeting, like heralding that this event has taken place. So, the rabbit is sort of hiding, though. Like, it's hard to maybe tell, but this is a hedge. The child can't see that the rabbit's there yet. So that's interesting, because then, the child is innocent and naked and doesn't realize what that really means. And then the rabbit, representing fertility, sort of speaks to maybe this awakening that's going to come to this child as he realizes his maturity, his sexuality, his ability to procreate. We don't know how old this kid is in this thing. Looks pretty young to me, too young to be doing that. But anyway, but that's sort of what the symbolism would say to me, and heralding it as a major event or a rite of passage. So it's interesting, we first have the Three of Swords, which is a loss, sometimes a death, and then we have the rebirth card right after it. So whatever you feel you're losing or grieving, do not despair, because it's sort of looking like it's meant to be, with a rebirth right after. Now, the next card is the Sun. So there's that same child, but now he's on a horse and he's off on his own by himself. The horse looks beautiful, very feminine looking horse with that hair. And the child is glowing in the sun. And there's just this full confidence and freedom and wonder in the world, So maybe that's what your rebirth is about, is letting go of a lot of old pain and remembering that there is beautiful and joyful and love in the world and innocence in the world still, despite what's going on in it. Now, our next card is the Moon. Well, the Moon is always an ominous looking card with the two wolves and the two towers. And the wolves are definitely crying out, as markers to let you know this is the place, this is the crossing, this is the threshold or the vortex, this is the gateway you must pass through. And the interesting thing is that the Moon is illuminating this one. It's not dark and murky, even though the rocks towering there are dark. The path is lit there and beyond it. Can you see? See, the path is lit and it's going all the way up this way. We can see it. Even if you go this way, there's sun. Sorry, there's a glow. So this is interesting because the only thing to fear then is the actual, maybe people would be scared that there's something weird about the dark stones. Why are they so dark if it's light, if the path is light? Well, because the moon is about facing, your shadow self, your unconscious stuff, the things that are not easy to put a finger on and say, the things that are hidden from you a lot of the time. So it's really a beautiful card about just pass through those gates and see what is coming to light, what is made conscious to you now, because there's nothing dark before it or afterwards to be scared of. There's just sort of a, oh, wow, now I know kind of thing. Our next card is the Queen of Swords. We saw her last time. So I love her hair and her witchy hat and her purple flying in the wind. She's sort of perched in her chair. She's got her sword. She's got a bonsai tree beside her. What else has she got? Is that a crystal? Yeah, she's got crystals on. She looks like she's got a lot of life skills and smarts, and she looks ready to take off and fly in an instant if she has to. So she's just sitting there, comfortable, ready to go if she needs to. Her eyes are closed and maybe she's contemplating something, but she also looks pretty active, like at any moment someone calls her name and she's like, yep, ready. So that's an interesting thing to just keep in mind for yourself, like just relax, but be ready to move, ready to go. Our next card is Seven of Pentacles. So we see a guy harvesting something from a tree. Let me just double check it here. Yeah, he's cutting off some sort of herbs or leaves from the tree. He's got all these pentacles marked on the stone beside him. Can't see him, but he's got these pretty elaborate tools, that nice little, I forget what that kind of knife is called now with the curved blade. So that's a pretty high level tool for harvesting stuff, right? And then the robe is beautiful green. We always think of green when we think of money, prosperity. He's wearing green. Often this card typically means, difficulties with money. Sometimes, just struggling, making ends meet. Does this guy give you that feeling? Not really. Looks to me like somebody who's pretty thrifty, has nice things that they need, but is pretty thrifty. So that's an interesting message too. Like he's just taking a little bit. He's not taking all of it. It's sort of like have what you need, take what you need, but only what you need. Well, it's a little bit like frugal, but it's responsible too, isn't it? It's not because like, oh, I don't have anything. It's like, no, I only need this, so I'll take that. Great attitude, environmentally friendly. Our next card is the High Priest. So this is like the Hierophant in other cards, or the Pope in other decks. He's interesting with his horns, and he's facing us straight on. And his hand gesture. It's crazy, but I only know that hand gesture from like heavy metal music. I don't know actually what it means. Maybe somebody can let me know. But it's definitely some sort of salute. He looks very determined, doesn't he? Those horns let you know everything, how determined he is. And yet he's sitting amongst, nature, birds, on his throne. He's an unusual high priest, actually. We don't really see what he's doing or what his altar is or what his purpose is. He just seems to be representing a mindset and very fixed and firm on his mindset, on his stance. So you could encounter someone like that. Again, we mentioned the stubbornness of four fixed planets, squaring off. You could encounter some people that are just like overdoing it there with, it's like, yeah, we get it. We know what you think. Okay, relax. Or maybe you need someone like this, that you feel is finally strong enough to lead the way. But yeah, it's about all that he gives me, honestly. I have to look at him again another time because it's not a classic interpretation. Then we have the Seven of Wands. So this is pretty clear, the guy is like, he's just one guy and he's holding a wand. Looks like he has a sword on his side too, but he's using his wand and he's trying to defend himself against the other six that are coming up the hill. Now, we all know the odds of one person defending against six. And yet, he's got the courage to try to do it. So often the Seven of Wands is a moment like that where you've got to take your stand, set your boundaries, say no, stand up to the group. That can all fall into this thing about affirming who I am and who I'm not. This would be more an extreme case of that because it would say, that you're saying, no, this isn't what I'm not going with you, or this is not what I want, or I'm not on the same mindset as you. And this would say, like, you've got to defend it against a few people. This doesn't look violent, but we don't know yet. There's helmets coming up the hill. But this person is definitely lunging into it and making it clear where they stand and saying no. So you might be in that position. And finally, we have the Queen of Cups. So Queen of Swords and Queen of Cups in there. Two queens, nice. And she's got a beautiful throne behind her. Looks like there's maybe a snake around the corner of that throne. She's got one foot in the water, very much sort of like the star card usually does, where there's one on land and one on water. Her eyes look closed. She looks meditative. And the sun or the moon is in the position to be almost like a floating orb above her cup. So she's deeply in a meditative state, intuitive, kind of trance-like state. She's receiving guidance. And she can trust herself, and she probably guides other people too. So if you know someone like this, or if this is you, this would be a great thing to do. Now, if we put them all together, I don't usually do this, but because this deck is different to me, I feel like maybe trying to synthesize what this reading is saying cards-wise. Because we start off with a sense of loss and then rebirth and then an innocence, a joy. Passing through the moon, the gates, the child passing through the gates, becoming aware of itself more. Rise in consciousness. Then we have our Queen of Swords, smart and ready to fly at any moment. So do we encounter her? Do we become her? Is she guiding us? Then we have the man out in the woods harvesting something, just enough of what he needs. And the high priest who's very stubbornly encountered and standing for some strong position. Then we have the Seven of Wands, which is saying, no, that's not, I don't agree. I'm defending myself against this position. And then we have our Queen of Cups that goes within, or that you consult, sort of a seer, you know, or a medium like me, somebody that knows how to go into trance and receive and see the big picture of things, and the meaning of things. So that's very interesting reading, like a rite of passage gives me, is what this gives me that feeling of very strongly. Well, let's try to figure out what our readings for each sign could be then. I think I'm going to go general, because asking for a rite of passage for everyone, that some people might feel like they're at that stage, but I think a lot of people won't necessarily. So let's just be more general. What is your full moon message? What is your full moon message? All right. Whatever random message it might be as well. Could be anything. So Aries, what is your full moon message? We have Two of Pentacles. So we had her last time. You see her juggling these balls or pentacles in the air, but her eyes look almost closed. So she's just trusting. It's almost like she's making them levitate. And she's standing with two ships behind her, you see? And the waters are rough. And it's like she's throwing both balls up in the air, wondering which ship makes it. Do they both? Will one drop? So she's got things, more than one thing in the air, and it's really hard to know what the outcome is going to be at this point. Too many things are up in the air. Often Two of Pentacles is like that. It's, you know, change, infinity. Things change, things go up, they go down, they go up, they go down, yin yang, dark and light, up and down. Accepting that you don't know the outcome, living with the unknown, living with the fact that things change, and they always will. It sounds so really simple to say, but it's quite hard for most of us to wrap our heads around and accept that. You know, we're not raised or culturally, you know, trained to think like that. Otherwise, there'd be no capitalism. Well, you know, things change, so you can buy this if you want, but yeah, you might not need it next year. Right? Like, no one's going to say that. Or, so anyway, accepting that things change and things will always change. That's life. That's your message. Okay, Taurus, what is your full moon message? And we've got the Nine of Pentacles. So, beautiful woman with her falcon holding a branch inside some sort of protective wall or garden. Flowers and pentacles, so wealth behind her. So this is all a message about your material security. And the falcon is interesting, though, because well, it could be a peregrine falcon or it could be a little hawk. It's hard to say, but I think it's the falcon. Now, you might want to study what the falcon means as a message, but I'm pretty sure, obviously, it's a status symbol, the way she's holding it. It probably flies off and returns to her. Obviously, it hunts, it flies, so it sees the bigger picture of things. I'm sure its neck is probably quite adept to see in many directions. So you might want to look up the falcon for inspiration about your finances or your material security. You know, why does this lady have a pet falcon or need the falcon? If she's so wealthy, why bother? You know, is it just to have on her arm for show? Or has it got a purpose for her? You might want to just ponder status stuff. Do you expect yourself to have status items to feel secure, or do you care? Is that the definition of material security or wealth, when you can have something like that for show? So, lots of questioning of your values with money right now, Taurus. And you've got Uranus and Mars and the North Node in your sign. So I would expect you're having some shocks and surprises, some ups and downs. Geminis, what is your full moon message, Gemini? All right. There we go. Princess of Swords. Well, that would be an air sign. Could very well be a Gemini card. There's a lot of wind flapping around her cloaks. It's a sunny day. There's also another bird in the air, hard to tell what. And she's got her sword ready to sort of show people, hey, I've got a sword and it's pointing down. I'm going to use this thing if I have to. That's what it feels like to me. So I don't know, Gemini, are you sort of in a position where you have to show what you've got and show that you're ready to do something about it? Are you putting your foot down, like laying down the law, saying something, not really, I'll show you mine if you show me yours kind of moment, but like, I've got a lawyer and I'm prepared to use him. I've got the money to do this. If you stop me, I'm doing it. I've got the rights to the idea, to the thing that I designed. If you try to take it, I'll do something about it. Something like that. Something like that's in the air. She's defending herself. She's letting people know, don't screw with me. I can defend myself. I've got the tools. Well, hell, what a reading is that? That's pretty particular, isn't it? Okay. All right, Cancers. What is your new full moon message? You got the Two of Wands. You got this sort of shadow. Well, what is that? I guess he's sort of like a crop circle thing drawn into the side of the mountain. But it looks like a caveman or like a interdimensional sort of being with these two poles or wands, like he's coming through. So that's interesting. You might be about to encounter some sort of spiritual guide. You might be ready to encounter another dimension spiritually, or another dimension of yourself or of your life. But there is guidance around. There's help. Someone's going to show up. That could be quite transformational, actually. It's safe, but it's going to show you a whole realm you never knew. That's pretty exciting, actually. It's very, the ground is very fertile. Everything's beautiful. Flowers in bloom, trees in bloom. Look at how protected everything is. blue skies. You can trust this, but it has a mysterious quality. This could be somebody that you meet as a spiritual guide. It could be a mentor. It could be someone that just says something to you out in public and you'll just never forget it. Life-altering mystery. Ooh, very interesting. All right, Leos. You've got the death card. Okay. Now don't be scared of the death card. It just means you're going through a transformation. Trying to make it so you can see the cards as well as possible. Sorry for the lighting, it's nighttime. So now it's an interesting death card because it's a live person holding a skull that looks like it's still alive. Of course, we see all of the, in the background, we see the ravens or the crows. We also see light, and we see a temple, and we see some sort of smoke coming from the cauldron in the front, looping around. The skeleton seems to be smiling as he's looking forward. We've got serpents at the top corner behind the man or woman, it's hard to tell. And we've got these cloaks, and the red suggests some passion. And we get, again, we have that, it's not a Sith. It's, but it's something like that, that curved half moon shaped knife. So this death card definitely, I mean, there's always like something that feels like it disappears or it's taken and then it reappears, but in a better way with the death card. If it takes away your trip, it gives you a better one. If something's canceled, something else comes back in its place and it's better. If you met someone on a dating site and they ghosted you, somebody better is coming soon. This kind of thing, you know, company or job didn't take you, better one's coming. But at first you go through the death card of disappointment. But it's interesting because this, you know, they've got their hand on the skull as if they're petting a kitty, like, and the skull is going, ah, you know, and it's like, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. It's just like, it's a weird death card. Anyway, it's interesting. So all this to say, Leo, if there's a bit of a shock or a reversal or a flip-flop or a 180 coming this full moon, don't be worried about it. Things are looking good. Look at how much light there is off in the background, the temple. The changes and the transformation, the dark side's already behind you. It's just going forward now. Virgo, what is your full moon message? Oh yeah, this is beautiful. This is one of the nicest cards in the deck, the Four of Wands. So you have a beautiful home, you have this beautiful sort of celebratory Four Wands and the garlands and the fire, like definitely some sort of, you know, ritual or celebration, party, wedding, something took place there that was happy. You know, it suggests that people came together, people were happy, the fire's still burning, the love is still there, the friendship is still there, the memories are still there. You know, this is a nice feeling family kind of card. Things are good, things are being restored to where they need to. Maybe something that you thought was lost isn't. This is a really lovely card, and if you can come together during this full moon for some sort of gathering or celebration, then do so, you know, because this has a very nice feeling of like finding long lost friendship or long overdue making peace with, making amends, reunions. Has a lovely feeling of that for you. That's beautiful. All right, a little sip of tea and then look at Libra. That was more of a slurp. Okay, not very Libra-like. Libra, what is your message? We've got the Three of Cups. So, three guys having a drink. Lots of food. You can see the apples, the abundance. They look definitely a little red in the face. They've been drinking. They're having fun. So, is there anything to be said or warned? Not really. There's enough for everybody. They're clinking their glasses. There's enough food for everyone. It's a good time to go out and sit with people, enjoy life. Feels like a pretty chill full moon for you, actually. Don't see much going on at all. Like either way. It doesn't seem great. It doesn't seem bad. It's like pretty stable. Just see some socializing, some eating, some drinking. That's about it. I know, very uneventful. But you know what? When a full moon with all the conflict I just mentioned, and I'm saying for you it's going to be uneventful, take it. You know, that's a good thing. Better than with the Geminis, like, I'm going to use my sword if I have to. Right? Take it. It's chill. All right. Scorpio. Oh boy. Your card is the Nine of Swords. What's going on, Scorpio? This card has given me a feeling that you are torturing yourself with something. This could be something from the past or something old. Feels like something that you keep it alive in your own mind by rehashing and asking the same painful questions over and over again, or blaming yourself, crapping on yourself for not acting differently, not saying something, for allowing something or someone in or to harm you, or perhaps, Nine of Swords can be like a betrayal or abuse. So this could be a time of a watershed moment if you're healing things around issues of abuse or trauma. But it would sort of suggest that there's going to be some old memories and feelings coming back, and the rehashing is more what I'm concerned about. Like, you have to take a look at the ways that you are self-inflicting or reliving things too much, or inflicting more pain on yourself by the way you're, like, your self-speak is a big deal when it comes to these things. So really take a look at repetitive thoughts and try to tell somebody or write them down and challenge them. Because the Nine of Swords is usually about anguish and anxiety, like mental anxiety. So it would be the equivalent of somebody, let's say, who was, I don't know, part of a flood, let's say, and, not everybody makes it, even though many people were affected, and the one person says, oh, it's all my fault, it's all my fault, it's all my fault, that they couldn't save every person in the flood or something like that. It's something where it's a bit, the sentiment is real, but it's not in context. There's something distorted about it, and there's something really harsh about repetitively blaming yourself. That's the feeling I get for you. So really go easy on yourself, reach out for help if you need to, and try to address those repetitive thoughts. Scorpios, Sagittarius. What is your moon message? Three of Wands. So this guy looks quite comfortable, confident. He's got his wands placed. He's just looking out over the valley, which is full of sun, debating sort of, is it time to walk down there? Is it time to move on, or is it good? Am I good here? You might be asking yourself that, am I comfortable where I am? His 3 wands are just tiny little wands, or maybe they're tiny little trees starting to grow. Nothing's matured, he can uproot at any moment. But maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he's good to let things grow where they are now. And yet the path is clear and it's sunny and ahead of him, so he can go if he wants. But his body position is telling us, nah, he's just observing for now. He'll decide when it's the right time later on. So this might be a metaphor for your life as well, if you're not sure whether you should act or wait. This guy definitely looks comfortable to wait and decide. Even if conditions are favorable, he looks content to wait and go on his own timing. So yeah, honoring your own timing. It's a good moon message. Capricorns, what is your full moon message? And you've got the King of Pentacles, which is very Capricorn. Now, we had him last time too. He's very confident. The way he's sitting is almost casual, even though his throne is formidable. So this is confidence or overconfidence. Look at the hellfire burning behind him. It's sort of like, yeah, my castle's burning down. I'll just sit here. It's okay. I'm not moving. Yeah, everything's burning. Whatever. I'm good. Sort of weird, eh? And then what's in this window? Okay. So yeah, we can sort of see, do you see that there's a boar where the flames are? And the shield. He set it down. And then out here at the window is the night sky. There's a bird and there's the moon. Looks like a beautiful night outside, clear night. And these flames, or that fire, is burning inside the castle. This guy is very secure. He's got everything he needs. If somebody can be in that state of mind, they have all their material needs. They're very comfortable. So what would be the message then? What I'm hearing when I look at him would be sort of, what's next? He doesn't know. Got everything I need. So what's next? Now what do I do? What more do I want? So you might be asking yourself that. What's next? If you're comfortable, if you've achieved a lot of the things you wanted to to be grateful for those things, of course. But you might be wondering, well, what's the next chapter? What would represent success to me now? Well, it might be very different things than the material things that he has in this case. He'd have to ask himself, well, what's missing? What are you craving that's missing? All right, Aquarius, what is your full moon message? 6 of Swords. Oh, sorry, Wands. I thought it, yeah, 6 of Wands. Okay. So you've got a procession going through the woods. And you've got this rock up front, up here, that's like a marker that they're coming towards. Leading a team definitely comes up with this card. Spotting the signs, look at the ground in front of the horse. Some sort of, here, is this another marker? Is another a mark on the ground? Is it a shadow? But definitely this rock off to the side pointing up is like definitely telling them This is the sign. Now we turn here, and he's got to know where to go from there because he's leading the pack. So there's definitely something here where you might be in a position where you're looked to by, could be by coworkers, could be people you actually lead on a team at work, it could be your family, but it looks like you're sort of at the helm and you have to decide and read the signs and tell people where things are going next. So it's all about leadership. And again, there's a falcon there, the horse and the falcon. The horse and the falcon. And so, you know, both of those are going to help him navigate. Maybe the falcon's going to fly up ahead and let him know what's going on and come back and let him know. The horse is going to sense anything. And the people behind are just going to follow whatever he decides. So his guidance system isn't to ask this little team behind him. He's trusting his horse to sense things, and he's asking the falcon to show him the way, and he's looking for signs. So this is all about your leadership and navigation ability, and that you're listening. Who are you listening to? And it's not the people that you're leading. It's other people that you're looking to, or other signs. So that's an interesting card. And finally, Pisces. What is your moon message? And you've got the Justice card. Okay. So she's holding, you know, her scales and her sword, suggesting she is going to weigh things fairly and then use her sword to decide. She's got an owl there that's just very cool, showing wisdom. These decisions are based on wisdom. Anything else? Yeah, she's sort of looking off to the sky. She's not really looking straight at us. She's looking up. So we don't know whether there's something currently that she has to weigh and decide, or whether she's just ready and in position to do so when something comes to her. And there's something off here that I want to look at closer. What is that? Huh. Okay, that's interesting. It looks like a little sign of a spider that we mentioned earlier. My little spider. Huh. Now the spider down there, the spider is a complex totem, you know, it's all about weaving fate, creating things, getting stuck in the webs that people spin. That's a tiny little spider. It's interesting, the spider and the justice. I mean, justice is going to win over the spider here. But maybe just be alert if there's anyone in your midst that gives you a spider energy. Meaning, not quite sure what they're up to, not quite clear what the heck they're saying. Intentions aren't so clear. You might need to pull out the justice side. Doesn't feel very threatening or anything, just feels like prevention more. Yeah, prevention of letting anything get out of hand with a spider type person. Interesting. You have the tools right now. No big deal. Bye-bye, spider. You know, it's only if you don't see the spider and you let it come and you let it start making webs all over things where it grows bigger and bigger. That's when you get a problem. Right now, there's no problem. You got this. Interesting messages tonight. Well, I enjoyed this and I hope you did too. And once again, if you like my work and you want to support Patreon, the links are below. I will have things more set up in the fall, whether it's online courses I'm going to be giving. I will let you know once they are officially up, which should be soon. And And once I get this membership community working, I will let you know about that too. And please message me if there are things that you're interested in that I can set up for you, or if there's questions you have about the videos, or if you want a reading, just leave me a message or email me below. All right. Happy full moon.